Japan's boxing talent is astonishing. Although Naoya Inoue has dominated the headlines, featured in current pound-for-pound lists and attracted international praise, there's still a factory of fighters waiting in the wings. Bantamweight Junto Nakatani has a 29-0 record and sits 9th in the BoxRec pound-for-pound list. IBF Bantam title holder Ryosuke Nishida combines speed with sharpness, while former kickboxer Yoshiki Takei has an aggressive, exciting style. Meanwhile, Kazuto Ioka has held various flyweight belts, while Kenshiro Teraji boasts a 24-1 record. However, through examining their records, one thing becomes clear. These guys rarely, if ever, fight outside Japan. With American and Saudi money beckoning, this trend seems increasingly bizarre, but there's more to it than just big paydays. Let's examine the historical side to this isolationist trend, before delving into the exact reasons for Japanese boxers' reluctance to leave the country in pursuit of untapped wealth. Please do leave a like for the algorithm. Sakoku, meaning chained country, was the isolationist foreign policy of Japan between 1603 and 1868. Relations and trade with the outside world were severely limited, and foreigners were effectively banned from entering. With it being an island nation and having never been colonized, it retained its long-term tradition and adopted quite an inward-looking mindset. Now bear this in mind throughout the rest of the video. The Japanese Boxing Commission's founding in 1952 introduced domestic belts, discouraging boxers from seeking opportunities abroad. As a result, Yoshio Shirai spent most of his career in Japan, aside from brief stints in America and Argentina. He dominated the Japanese bantam and flyweight divisions before claiming the world flyweight title against Dado Marino. With Shirai selling 40,000 tickets at premium prices for his fights, it's no surprise he had little reason to leave the country. In the 1960s, fighting Harada and Takeo Sakurai followed this conservatism, rarely venturing from Japan's shores. When they occasionally did leave, disaster would strike, either in the form of Harada's loss to Pone Kingpech in Bangkok, or Sakurai's defeat to Ruben Olivares in California. Hiroyuki Ebihara was slightly more active abroad, yet he found himself on the end of close split decision losses, which signalled the risk of travelling. And why take this risk anyway? By remaining in the country, you could easily become a national hero, regularly featuring on Japanese TV. Additionally, foreign champions were willing to make the trip due to substantial purses for fighting in Tokyo. The conditions were therefore set. By 1970, a book titled The Japanese and the Jews was the bestseller in Japan, which effectively argued that no nation and no people were as much a tribe or tight-knit clan as the Japanese themselves. They deemed themselves to be highly vulnerable and wanted to preserve their sovereignty and ideals. Consequently, key boxers from the period like Shoji Aguma, Koichi Wajima, and Masao Oba were pressured to reserve their skills for Japan's arenas alone. Some brave few, including Guts Ishimatsu and Kunaki Shibata, ventured beyond the borders, but their records suffered, often falling to costly defeats in locations like Johannesburg or Panama City. Fighting on the road simply seemed ominous to young pugilists by this point. Sachi Takahata's study describes the wave of Filipino boxers descending upon Japan in the late 20th century, citing money as a key motivator, with a 10-round bout giving a boxer a purse of $200 to $300 in the Philippines, while in Japan, the purse ranged from $800 to $1,000. It seems money was, and still is, key in dissuading Japanese boxers from fighting abroad. In his fight against Fulton, Inoue received a $5 million purse, while receiving major income from his sponsorships with Sixpad and Winning Japan, and regularly features on Japanese TV. Domestic promotional companies like Taken Promotions also ensure its boxers remain in Japan, providing a healthy, stable income. Significantly, in mid-2023, Matchroom partnered with Rakuten and NSN to guarantee major boxing events within Japan, therefore enabling Japanese boxers to compete in title fights without having to leave. So the incentives to leave for financial gain or extra belts are effectively squandered. In Western countries like the US, UK and Europe, the boxing talent is spread more evenly across weight divisions. The general rule is, the heavier the boxer, the more fans, publicity and traction they will be afforded.
I just thought if you were a heavyweight with your confidence, listen, think of the money you could earn.
Well, let's not forget about the money I'm earning now.
The average height of men in Japan is 5'7", so the smaller stature means the boxing talent resides predominantly in the flyweight, bantamweight, featherweight and lightweight divisions. I feel this reduces their fan potential in the West. Additionally, the increased competition amongst lower weights in Japan makes those matchups more lucrative, so travelling to the US wouldn't make financial sense as the higher weights receive the larger purses. Sadly, unless you're a global superstar like Inoue, I just feel in the West, if you're a smaller fighter, particularly from the East, your superstardom might be slightly limited. Although Pacquiao was able to crack the circuit, so who really knows? Let me know your thoughts down below. In Japan, hometown decisions have sometimes been dodgy in the past. This trend was particularly prevalent according to Takahata, with nationalism being rife in the boxing circuit, with many believing that their champions must be Japanese. So for a period in the 1990s, it made more sense for Japanese boxers to stay in the country as their records were protected with controversial hometown decisions. Katsuya Onizuka would persistently get favourable outcomes, partly as Japan didn't really have any other stars representing them at the time. It was done out of desperation for having a hometown star. More recently, Japanese boxer Keita Kurihara apologised to his Filipino opponent Renan Portes after his controversial victory. This could suggest why Japanese boxers stay, as they ultimately feel protected. One forum comment noted that the Japanese fear losing as they're considered dead meat if they do. Now, it's hard to substantiate this, so let me know in the comments if you feel this is true. Overall, I'd say hometown decisions are not the main factor, particularly with many commentators deeming Japan as a fairer location, yet Japanese boxers probably do still prefer to be refereed and judged by their own countrymen. 10 months ago, a Reddit user pointed out that Japan now has 15 boxing champions holding various belts across different weight categories. The fact of the matter is, many other up and coming prospects in Japan will be contending for these exact belts, so travelling elsewhere to win them makes no logical sense. So with this monopoly on many of the accolades in the lower divisions, Japan will become even more of a boxing hub. One thing that perhaps cannot be overlooked is the low English proficiency level. We have seen examples of when fighters struggle to adjust when they can't communicate, and Japan's English literacy level is low. In fact, a 2023 survey confirmed this. This fact likely looms large in Japanese boxers' minds, with many being apprehensive to travel to fight in locations which are both alien to them and where it's difficult to communicate with others. Would you risk your record and potentially livelihood by travelling somewhere where you are devoid of much support, unable to understand the spoken language and unaccustomed to the culture? Despite some Mexicans being able to overcome this, they're not quite as isolated on the world stage. Regardless, it's a very daunting prospect, coupled with the fact that, as far back as the 1950s, Liebling was already pointing out that the lightweight class had been in decline and lost prestige. With many Westerners growing in stature over generations since, the smaller boxers just don't receive as much attention. So being undervalued, receiving less pay, and exposing yourself to a potentially harsh decision doesn't really entice Japan's fighters. Funny that. Overall, it seems to be a combination of factors keeping Japanese boxers within the country. Takahata's pointing towards Japan's economic boom of the 1980s, combined with a country which loves sport in all formats, including boxing, has created an environment where pugilists can thrive. The upcoming Taraji against Akui fight for the WBC and WBA flyweight championships is emblematic of this healthy environment, where Japanese boxers can receive the highest honours on their own doorstep. In my view, there is possibly an element of Sakoku, with Japan's boxers preferring the familiarity of their own country, and they could be wary of the poor record of those practitioners who have travelled in past years. But it's not like they are neglecting a really fruitful, prosperous lower weight division market unless they reach exceptional status like Inoue, I feel. The fact of the matter is, many casual Western boxing fans kind of ignore the Japanese boxing circuit entirely, which is honestly a real shame. But now I'd like to hear what you guys think. Have I covered the key reasons behind Japanese fighters rarely leaving their country? Is there anything I've missed? And if so, leave it down in the comments below. If you are a regular viewer on this channel, you've likely realised that I'm pretty fascinated with Japan's boxing culture and society generally, so I'd love to learn more on this topic. If you also share this fascination, I'll link some of my other videos on Japanese boxing for you to check out in the meantime. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the love and support you've been giving the channel as of late. More content is on its way soon, I promise. Please like and subscribe. All the best. Cheers.